Hello everyone, my name is Phil. I want to welcome you to the Gathering Moss YouTube channel. This is our first video and I have no idea what I'm doing. I think you're probably going to pick up on that fairly quickly, but what I wanted to do was to record a video and get it out there with some instructions and directions on how to install the Gathering Moss grow trunks. Many of you have probably seen this. Some of you might own some of these, and you're wondering, how do I get this in the pot, and how do I get my plant attached, and what do I do to it once I have it to make it useful? And that's what I'm going to go through today. I'm going to walk us through the steps of installing this. I'm going to do it a couple times. I've got a couple of our products here. I've got the regular 24-inch, and I've also got our RW Slim model, which is a 24-inch and only 2 inches wide instead of the normal 3 inches wide. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of plants, a couple of our planters, put the grow trunk in it, and just work through the steps of how to install it. I've got some plants with me today that I want to get installed on grow trunks. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to use yet. I've got 3 here and probably only going to use 2. But I have a Philodendron Billietiae, a small little starter plant that needs to get on a grow trunk as quickly as possible. I want to get its leaf size increasing. I think it'll really get to be a nice plant once it gets on a grow trunk. I have a Philodendron Florida Ghost. Really nice plant, and it needs to be on a grow trunk also. And I also have a Philodendron Majestic. If you can't tell, there's a theme here. I really like philodendrons, and I really like philodendrons on grow trunks. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to get started, and the first thing in the process is to work on your setup. Make sure what planter you're going to use, what size you're going to use, and then what size grow trunk you're going to use. We're going to dry fit it together to make sure everything's going to work together. And I think for the Philodendron Majestic, I'm going to start it out in this 10 centimeter orchid pot. I think these 10 centimeters are approximately 4 inches. And I'm going to use the RW Slim grow trunk. As you can tell, that makes a nice fit. Fits right down in there. It's going to sit up against the side of the pot and rest on the bottom. I've had several people ask the question, do I need to repot? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. Grow trunks are made specifically to sit on the bottom of the planter, rest on the bottom, to add additional support to the whole system, because what you're doing is you're making a system here. Your planter, your grow trunk, your soil, your plant are all going to work together as a system, and it's so necessary that it sits in there at the bottom, because if you have it sitting just on the top, you're going to have a wobbly grow trunk. You might have to add a support stake. It really would not be a good idea. You want to have a clean pot. The grow trunk, you want the grow trunk to sit all the way at the bottom. You're going to have soil inside your grow trunk up to the level where the soil will be outside, and then you're going to fill soil in around it, and it's going to make a nice tight system for your plant to grow into. It's going to be something like this. It's my Philodendron Splash Gordon. As you can see, the grow trunk is clear at the bottom of the planter. Soil is filled in around it. Plant is attached, making a nice tight system that stays inside the pot and is very stable. So once again, it's just very, very, very necessary for you to replant or repot once you get a grow trunk. And I know it's a a pain to have to repot, but you'll be glad you did in the end. So once again, we have our grow trunk, the RW Slim Edition, so it's 2 inches wide and it sits in here so nicely, and that's what we're going to use for our Philodendron Majestic. Okay, we're going to go ahead and work on installing our Philodendron Majestic on an RW Slim, and I've kind of been debating which planter to use. Really, this is a deli container. I think it's a 32-ounce deli container that I just punch some holes in the bottom. I use a hot glue gun and just put some holes in the bottom. It's a nice little way to do it a little bit cheaper than buying the orchid pots because they tend to be pretty expensive. But I think this Majestic is going to fit a little bit better in this planter. Seems like it's going to have a little bit more room. And it's going to sit just like that. I like to dry fit it, get a good idea of how it's going to sit. You figure the dirt level is probably going to come, the soil level is going to come about to here. So that is where our Majestic would sit. Seems pretty good. So what I do then, and I've already did it on this one, but what I'd like to do is fill in the bottom of the grow trunk with some of our soil mix, and I mix my own soil. I've kind of played around with soil mixes, and right now I'm using the Fox Farm Happy Frog as my base. And then I'm mixing in a bunch of different substrates to help aerate it. Perlite, leca balls, cedar bark, cocoa chips, just whatever I can do to kind of break it up and make it a little bit more aerated. I think, and the reason I'm using the Fox Farm is because it comes with mycorrhizae, however you say it, already blended in, which is a beneficial bacteria. It works with the roots, makes the roots stronger, and I like to do anything I can to promote root health. So I've already put that in there, kind of to the level where the soil will be. Looks like my sphagnum moss will be down inside the soil just a little bit, but that's not a bad thing. It's just going to add a little bit of moisture retention to the soil. Not a whole lot, but it'll add a little bit. So once again, we'll just sit our plant on where we think it's going to sit inside the planter, which I think is about there. What I like to do is just leave it rest on there, and then take a piece of Velcro tape. They make the garden variety. It's green. You can do this, you could do a plant clip, you could do a piece of wire, just something to hold it in place long enough for you to actually get the grow trunk installed inside the planter. Just feed it through. I really try to work it, getting the plant to rest pretty hard against the grow trunk so it knows where its roots need to go. Pardon me. So just like that. So now the plant's sitting right at where it should be. Got a couple of runners. This Majestic. I'm going to try to adjust so that this part's also going to stick out. so that they're not underneath the grow trunk. It's going to sit just like that. So once we've got that, I just kind of hold it in place, start filling in our soil. Get that soil compacted in there pretty good. It'll hold your grow trunk in place. You don't want to push it in too hard, but you want it in there as firmly as you can. Philodendrons and most steroids don't like a compacted soil, so you don't want to press it in there too much, but it's just a little bit. Doesn't hurt anybody. It's going to be an interesting plant. I've never grown a majestic before. It seems to be a bit like the Burl Marx and want to grow every which direction. Let's see if we can't tame him a little bit by putting him on a grow trunk. Okay. There's soil in there. Pretty good. Filling in, especially around the back. And once we water it in really good, it'll sit down even more. And then I'll add a little bit more soil on top of it to make sure that it has a good soil level. Just like that. Soil level is about here, and as you can tell, the plant's sitting in there nicely right up against the grow trunk. And that'll encourage it to grow up and shoot those aerial roots inside the grow trunk. It's already established enough, or in there well enough, that I can hold it by the grow trunk and the planter's not going to fall off. And once I water that in and the roots really start growing, it'll do even better. That's what that one's going to look like. So that's our Philodendron Majestic on an RW Slim 24 inches by 2 inches wide grow trunk. Okay, so next up we're going to install one of our 24 regulars, 24 inches long-ish by 3 inches wide, and we're going to put it in another deli container, and we're going to mount our Philodendron Florida Ghost. And you can see, if you look at it, there we go. It's already got some good aerial roots going on, and they're just begging to be put on a grow trunk. Really beautiful plant. I love the leaves on these. Came with just this leaf, and these 2 leaves have came out since I've had it. I love the leaf structure. I love having a variety of leaf structures. So anyways, so we've got our setup. We're going to use a 24 regular. We're going to use another deli pot just because I like the fit of the 24 regular in these deli pots, deli containers. And once again, I've punched a bunch of holes in the bottom Just using a hot glue gun so it gets plenty of drainage. So we've got that all set up. We're going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some of the moss out. Looks like it would get to about here as far as the soil level. So I'm going to pull out just a little bit of the moss. Not totally necessary, but anything I can do to help with the roots not getting rotten. You can see if we sit it in there, our soil level is going to come somewhere in between in here. So we've got the moss pushed up, and when we put the soil in, we'll push it up a little bit more. So that's what we'll do next. We'll go ahead and fill that in with some soil. I just have to get it on the scoop end and then just kind of shove it up in there. It's not a precise thing. Okay, just like that. And then I try, without trying to spill it everywhere, go ahead and get this. Just sit it down inside the deli container like that. Make sure it looks good. It does. So I'm going to sit it on the side of our box. And we can get our Florida Ghost out of its soil. It's been in here about a month, I think. So I'm sure the roots are pretty good in there. And take this back out. And it looks like it would sit best about like that. It's got this little curve in the stem from before, so it's not going to sit up there really flush. I'm just going to play around with it to see which way's best. Seems like a good fit like that. So I think I'll leave it like that. And once again, I'm still learning all this stuff, but this was a stem cutting. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that some of that stem cutting sits above soil level. Some of it will be below, but just a little tiny bit sticking out for aeration, I guess. Not sure if that's anything that's really to worry about, but I do it anyways. As you can tell, if you can see here, sitting the plant like this, there is a big aerial root right here that's kind of shooting out. It's not, I'm not taking advantage of, but there are aerial roots behind, and there's more, another node down this way. So there's some there that could form. So I'm going to push it in against it right here and just let those aerial roots work their magic. So once again, we're going to get a piece of our Velcro tape, cut it off here real quick. Just to hold the plant in place while we're doing all our extra stuff. Once again, I like to have the white side or the soft side down. Make sure I cut off enough here. Of course I didn't. So let me cut another piece off. Okay, that should do it. I'm just going to stick that right in between those sets of aerial roots. Once again, I want to get it as tight as possible. To help the plant know where it's supposed to go. This love philodendrons. Such a wide variety in the group. There, just like that. So it's pressed nicely up against there. The soil level is going to come to about here once we start filling in the planter, and so a little bit of our cutting is going to stick out above. Our roots are all going to be down below, and the nodes are pressed up against the side of the wire mesh so that they have a short route to get those aerial roots growing inside. So that soil back in there fell out. Sit our grow trunk in there just like that. Set this soil in. And then go ahead and fill in our soil mix. So once again, it's a really easy process. It starts out with knowing that you're going to have to repot because you want to set up the system. What you're building is a system. I've heard the term before, and I really love the guy, Sydney Plant Guy. That your grow trunk, or as he called his moss poles, are an extension of the planter, and what we're doing is we're making a system that includes the grow trunk, the planter, and the soil mix, and they're all going to work together to help stabilize our plant and help it to grow. All three are very important because your planter is going to provide the holding mechanism. It's also going to allow drainage, good drainage. So that's a good part of the system. The soil mix, a good aerated soil. It's going to help your plant's natural roots, soil roots, to grow and mature and not rot. And then we have our grow trunk. That's an integral part of the system, allowing the aerial roots to grow into it and collect the moisture and nutrients from that liquid that's in there, because like I do add fertilizer to my water when I do my water down technique with a water bottle. So it's all forming a system that's all going to work together to support our plant, the trunk, the soil, and the planter. So we want them to all work together. So anyways, work the soil in there. And they're nice and tight. Like I said, maybe a little strange, but I like to see just a tiny bit of the cutting of the original stem sticking up out of the soil. I like to push down with my skewer, make sure that we've got no air pockets. It's nice and firmly against the grow trunk, sitting down in there nicely. So once again, even just at this level, you've built a system that is nice and secure inside your planter, using your soil medium with the grow trunk. And you can hold it just like this. That planter is going nowhere. And once you water in, once I add water to the soil, it's going to be even more secure. So once again, it's really an easy process, but it starts with the fact that we're going to have to replant our plants when we receive our grow trunk. We're going to pick out the container we want it to go into, and then we're going to build our system. And our system includes the planter, the soil mix, and the grow trunk. And they're all three going to work together to support our plant. The grow trunk is going to be an extension of your medium and your planter, giving the plant access to more points of gathering, where it can gather those the moisture and the nutrients it needs, so that it's not having to draw the nutrients and the moisture from the soil all the way to the top of the plant. It can have multiple access points up the grow trunk as it grows, which helps the plant with plant health and also sizing. You're going to get some magnificent leaf sizing with a grow trunk. Okay, so that's going to do it for today's video. We've got our two plants all potted up, our Florida Ghost and our Philodendron Majestic on grow trunks. We've built our system with our planter, our soil, and our grow trunk, and these guys are going to take off now. If you have any questions, please feel to leave them in the comments below. I'll be checking those out and answering them as I go. Please tell me if you have any suggestions for videos in the future. I'm going to keep trying to do this. Maybe I'll learn how to do it, probably not, but I'll throw something together. Anyways, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.